For a quarter of a century, if you thought about SpaceX, you thought about one destination, Mars. Every single rocket, every test flight, it was all a step towards the red planet. And then, on Super Bowl Sunday, Elon Musk took a hard left turn. So what's really going on? What's behind this massive, kind of shocking pivot in the new space race? And then came this, a total bombshell of a tweet that sent shockwaves through the entire space community. This wasn't some hint or a rumor, nope. This was a direct statement from the man himself. The focus has already shifted. Now, he frames it like it's just simple math. The moon in under a decade, Mars in over 2. But for a company literally built on the Mars dream, believe me, it is anything but simple.
So yeah, the big question is, what about Mars? The one single goal that defined a multi-billion-dollar company and inspired, a whole generation of engineers and space fans. To really get just how jarring this pivot is, we need to rewind a little bit.
You see, you can't really grasp the gravity of this change unless you understand just how unbelievably consistent the Mars mission was. For 25 years, it was the company's North Star. Period. I mean, from the very, very beginning, it was all about Mars. Back in 2002, the company was founded for this one reason. Right away, he was out there pitching his Mars Oasis project, this vision of a greenhouse on the red planet. A decade later, in 2012, he makes that famous proclamation that he wants to die on Mars. Heck, even the buildings point to Mars. Starbase in Texas is officially called the Gateway to Mars. I've even heard the carpet in his conference room is rust red, like the Martian surface.
And this is from Gwynne Shotwell, the president of SpaceX, talking about her very first job interview with Musk. She said his pitch was almost messianic. So this wasn't just some business plan, It was this deeply held belief, the absolute core identity of the whole company, right from day one. Just think about everything that's changed with Elon Musk over the last 25 years. His money, his politics, his public image. But through all of that, one thing was this unwavering constant, the mission to make humanity multi-planetary. And it started with Mars. Until now.
Only about a year ago, Musk was still calling the moon a distraction. Now, it's the main thing. So what on earth happened in that short amount of time to cause such a huge shift? Well, it looks like it all boils down to 3 key drivers.
First up, the oldest motivation in the book, good old-fashioned competition. Turns out, SpaceX isn't the only serious player trying to land on the moon anymore, and they're starting to feel the heat from a very familiar rival. That's right, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin has finally started to make some serious moves. Their New Glenn rocket has actually flown, and Bezos has apparently told his team to go all in on the moon. And this brings up a huge challenge for SpaceX. Blue Origin's lander has a key advantage. It doesn't need orbital refueling. That's that super complex dance of gassing up a spacecraft while it's in orbit. This means there's a very real chance that Blue Origin could put boots on the moon before Starship does, and that's a threat SpaceX is now taking very, very seriously.
Now, the second clue has less to do with rockets and more to do with Musk's other great obsession, artificial intelligence. And it turns out his huge ambitions for AI and space are starting to merge in a very specific and, frankly, very grand way. So, follow the logic here. Musk's AI company xAI has basically linked up its goals with SpaceX. To power the future of AI, he imagines these absolutely enormous data centers in orbit. Okay, but to build those, you need equally enormous orbital factories. And the most efficient place to get the materials to build those isn't Earth, it's the moon.
And that brings us right to the final driver, the simple, undeniable, practical advantages of our closest neighbor. When you really get down to the engineering and the logistics of it all, the moon just makes more sense right now. It's a pragmatic choice over the romantic dream of Mars. I mean, the moon has tons of oxygen and silicon just sitting in the dirt, perfect for making things like solar panels and computer chips. The trip there is a few days, not 6 to 9 months. And this is a huge one. You can go anytime you want. You don't have to wait for the planets to align just right, which only happens once every 26 months for Mars.
So how do you get all those lunar resources into orbit? Well, Musk has been talking a lot about a mass driver. This is a classic sci-fi idea. It's basically a giant electromagnetic catapult, like a cosmic slingshot. On Earth, with our thick atmosphere, it's pretty impractical. But on the airless moon, it's a hyper-efficient way to just yeet materials into space to build those orbital factories he wants. Now, there is a more sobering side to this tech.
A lunar mass driver isn't just a construction tool. As science fiction has warned us for decades, a device that can launch big projectiles from the moon gives you control of the ultimate high ground. It's a strategic reality that the US Space Force is definitely not ignoring, and it adds this whole other layer of geopolitics to this new lunar gold rush.
Okay, so you've got a new rival, a new AI-driven goal, and a new appreciation for good old-fashioned practicality, all pushing the moon to the front of the line. So what does this actually mean for everyone else? Who wins and who loses here?
Well, on the winning side, you've got NASA and the US government. Their Artemis program just got a massive shot in the arm. You've also got any company that wants to do business on the moon. The big loser? The huge community of Mars advocates who just lost their #1 champion. That dream of a 2028 Mars launch is probably toast, and so is SpaceX's identity as a Mars-only company. And honestly, Blue Origin wins a little too, by forcing its biggest competitor to come play on its turf.
And why is this such a huge win for all those lunar businesses? It boils down to this number, 100. That's 100 metric tons of cargo that a single Starship can bring down to the lunar surface. That one capability is a massive enabler. We're not talking about a pickup truck anymore. We're talking about a freight train. It completely changes the economics of building anything on the moon.
So ultimately, what we're seeing here is a dream being deferred. The grand, romantic vision of colonizing Mars has just slammed into a much harsher reality. Look, getting to the moon and building a city is an incredibly hard thing to do. But developing Mars, a planet millions of miles further away, that's just that much harder. It's a challenge for another day.
And this leaves us with the big, lingering question for the future of space exploration. Is this pivot to the moon just a necessary, practical detour on the long road to Mars, a vital stepping stone? Or has the singular focus on the moon revealed that Mars was, for now at least, just a red herring, a beautiful but ultimately distracting dream, while the real prize, the actual key to our future in space, was right next door all along?